Today, I'm excited to be joined by Jamie Cureton. Jamie is a systems and automation expert that specialises in helping trades and construction business owners to systemise the business so it runs without them in it, freeing up the business owner's time so they can spend focusing on growth. In this episode, I want to uncover why is it that the vast majority of trades business owners don't systemise the business? Where do we need to start when doing so? And what's the most important pieces of software that you need to bring into your business to not become that busy fool and to achieve time and financial freedom? So, Jamie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for that, Craig. And thank you for having me on the podcast today. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And I'm really excited to be sharing, all of the knowledge that I can share about systems. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us, Jamie. So to start off with, let's just kick off, Jamie, by you just giving a brief introduction to yourself and your business.
Okay, so yeah, as you know, my name's Jamie Cureton. I'm the founder of a company called Flow State. By trade, I'm a plumbing and heating engineer, but really at heart, I've always been a techno nerd, shall we say. So I ran a heating business for about 10 years. And then with that, because I'm a tech nerd, I just implemented so many systems and technology within the business, which turned out to be absolutely life-changing. But I had a calling where I just, wanted to help other people have the same systems and, technology in their business because I knew how valuable it was to my business. So I decided to sell my heating business and go full pout into helping everyone else, and that's when I created Flow State. And since then, I've helped hundreds of other business owners achieve the same results as I have. So, in general, a quick overview. That's me and my background.
Brilliant. All right, Jamie. So let's start off then with. I'm going to sound like an old crock here, right? And I don't mean to be, but I'm going to go back to 1994, where I first set up my joinery and building company, right? And when I look back then, I'm like, how the hell did we manage to run businesses back then without the systems, the software, the apps, AI, everything we've got at our disposal now and literally at our fingertips? We didn't have that back then. So in today's day and age, when we have got all this digital technology at our fingertips, literally apps on our phone that can run our entire business and life, I think it's an absolute crime that in today's day and age, trades and construction business owners haven't systemised the business and therefore are slaves and prisoners within the business. So my first question to you is, why the hell is this happening? When that technology's out there, what do you find is stopping people from systemising and automating the businesses?
That's a really good question. I mean, there's three main reasons from my perspective why it happens. I think, first of all, it's a lack of knowledge and know-how. Everybody's a tradesperson. They've kind of accidental business owner in some ways. They've just created a business. They didn't really know what was coming with it. And then the next thing they're just so busy trying to just get jobs over the line and get paid that they just literally don't have the time. So lack of knowledge, lack of time. And then I dare say there's a lack of skills and maybe a fear of the what that looks like trying to learn a new thing. I think that holds a lot of people back as well. So if I was to kind of summarize it as three main things, I think they're the three main things that pop up from my perspective.
Yeah. Do you ever get people coming to you saying, do you know what, Jamie? I know I should be doing it, but I'm just not tech savvy. I don't have computers. I don't get on with anything. Do you get people coming to you with that?
All of the time. And it's just because people have got their paper diaries and they're so used to just doing it that way that the thought of having all of this tech and AI and all that, it does sound a bit scary if you don't know it. Obviously, I'm a tech nerd, so for me it was amazing. I could see all these opportunities, but from their perspective, it's completely alien to them, isn't it? So yeah. that pops up all of the time. Yeah.
And you know what, though? I have a lot of my inner circle members said to me, Craig, it's all right for you. You go and build funnels and you go and do all this fancy stuff on AI. but I'm not tech savvy. Listen, I'm not tech savvy. Naturally, I'm not tech savvy, but as a business owner, I've had to realise I've had to learn and embrace technology. If I want to grow my businesses, make more profit and get my time back, then that's what I've got to do. So do you think it's a bit of a mindset thing with trades, in the fact that tradespeople are just like, do you know what? I ain't got time. I just want to get my head down and crack on and just keep grinding it out day in, day out, doing the same thing day in, day out. Is it a mindset thing that we've got to start shifting?
100%. I mean, like I said a minute ago, that, you know, most business owners are accidental business owners. They're just tradespeople that want to go to work, earn their living, get paid, and that's about it. They didn't realize all of this other stuff that was going on. So I find that they get to a certain point where they're making things work, but, you know, the fear of changing that ever so slightly, or you know, embracing all of this technology is just too scary for them. So they've got to shift their mindset. And what they probably don't understand is that the technology is designed to be easy to use, because they know, like, the people that develop these things, they know that this is the case. So they've got to make it easy to use. And I think that's the one bit of kind of knowledge that people don't have, is that it's intentionally designed to be easy to work with.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on then to the sort of like problems or pain or negative impacts that they're going to experience by not having a shift in mindset, not rolling the sleeves up and doing things other people aren't prepared to do to achieve success. If they're not prepared to do that and they're still pen and paper or doing all the basics, right? What are some of the negative consequences of continuing to run a business that way?
I mean, I just go by the amount of people that I've speak to, and the challenges that they're faced, you know, day in, day out. All right. So obviously with a lack of systems, you know, it's super hard to keep on top of the leads coming in, and, you know, the make sure that you're following up correctly. And, you know, when you've got the jobs in, keeping on top of all of the stuff that needs to happen, from materials ordering, the quoting, the invoicing. To try and keep on top of that, all that's going to happen is that you're going to end up working ridiculously long hours, aren't you? So there was a time in my business before I had the technology that I was working from 6 o'clock in the morning and doing stuff at 10 o'clock at night, just to make sure that everything was still in hand for jobs to progress. So, you know, what impact does that have on you doing that? It's unsustainable, isn't it? And then, of course, because your brain's constantly having to think of all of these different things that you've got to keep on top of, I mean, it's just stressful. So, you know, that amount of stress, like the knock-on effect to how that then impacts you at home with your family. You know, you're not present with your family anymore, and all of these stuff ultimately just ends to struggling with mental health. You know, that was the trigger for me. It was like, I know I need to get this technology into my business, because I know it's going to make a big difference to my life overall. So yeah, I mean, if I was to pick a few things, they're like the main things that I would say are going to have a negative impact on your life.
Yeah. And you know what? I think we've all been there, haven't we? It's all right me sat here saying, oh, you know, this is what we should be doing, and this is how I teach you to systemize and automate your businesses and all this. But I didn't know all this knowledge back then. Even when the systems started first coming out, I didn't embrace it. And I have that, as you well know, Jamie, I have that saying about, you know, becoming a busy fool. And I think one of the things with us trades is we're that busy doing everything, literally everything, aren't we, in this business? We spend probably 8, 9, 10 hours a day on tools. And then, so when do we get the time to run the business? When do we get the time to work on the business? When do we get time to put these systems in place, put the automations in place, learn about marketing strategies? How do we get people, you know, pricing and doing the paperwork and their admin? And this is why we're all guilty. We've all done it. Why we graft on tools during the day, we end up staying up till 12 o'clock at evenings, or even when that's not enough and there's still more to do, what do we end up doing then? We end up sacrificing that quality time that we should be spending with us families at weekends. And what do? We start doing work and paperwork and pricing jobs and looking at jobs and even putting a Saturday shift in to get to catch up on us money.
Yeah.
So we've all been there. We all fully understand what these negative consequences are. So with that in mind then, Jamie, just talk us through when you were at that point in your business and you were that busy fool, because you were on my inner circle, yeah? So I coached you through all this. What are the certain things that you started to do initially to start to realise that you can't carry on like this and that you need to start to implement systems? What was the first thing that you started to consider and start to go away and look at?
So I guess, the first thing that I kind of looked at was what was my customer's journey. Yeah, so I had to think about, all right, well, first of all, I need to, I've got these leads coming in. How can we handle those leads, and how can we, get those leads through the process to the point where we can get, the quote out, the quote confirmed, the job booked in, and map that out really was like my kind of first step to systemizing my business. And then, of course, you've got to find the right systems to be able to do that, and choosing which one's going to be the right one is probably one of the challenges that I was faced with. Thankfully, through trial and error, I found some amazing pieces of software that solved all of the problems that I needed. But as a starting point, that's really where I began.
Yeah. And, I think this is where everybody needs to start to consider, don't they? Because on my inner circle, what I teach is, if you are a busy fool or you feel as though you haven't got enough time left each day or each week in your life and in your business, the number one thing that's going to get the biggest amount of time back, and we spend a full month, don't we, on in a circle working through time management, but the number one thing that's going to get your time back more than anything else is putting these systems in place in your business. And then going back and rewinding, Jamie, to me, we're talking about systems now being readily available, and everybody's heard of all these systems: ServiceMate, Commusoft, Tradify. Lots of people have heard of these systems. But even 12, 15 years ago, I'd already started putting systems in place into my construction business. And even I got automations triggering and text messages triggering a decade ago. So all this lot is what's going to start to get our time back so we don't become busy fools. But what are the other benefits, Jamie, of systemising your business? Because it's not just about getting your time back, is it? There are other benefits in systemising your business. So what would they be?
Well, if you just look at, if you look at a business that doesn't have these systems in place, first of all, right? So, it's, what jobs need quotes? Yeah. Have we sent them out? Have we followed them up to get the sale over the line? Then, of course, it's all of the bits and bobs like materials ordering and stuff like that. The communication that's constantly having to be had with the team or the customers to, pull all of that together. And then after that, it's remembering to send invoices and ultimately getting paid. So these businesses without systems don't have that. So obviously by having these systems in place, what you're going to see is all of a sudden you're selling more products because your quotes are converting. You're getting them out way faster than you ever did. They're going to convert. All of a sudden you've got these processes and automations in place that are going to make sure your team are ordering the materials at the right time, or maybe organizing your contractors at the right time. Your customers are going to be blown away by how organized and streamlined that service was, which they're not used to that with anybody else. Then through everything else with reminding and setting expectations and boundaries, which is something you're always talking about, all of a sudden you're getting paid immediately from your customers. So your cash flow just goes through the roof as well. And one of the biggest things for me that became apparent after all of this, probably a thing that was an afterthought really, that just was a consequence of all of these systems, was the amount of reviews that the business started to get as well. Because the customers got to the end of the job and they were like, that was amazing, and would automatically send a message out, say, how was your experience, would you like leave us a review. And because they had such a good experience, the customers would they'd feel like obliged to leave that review because they were just so amazed. And all of a sudden, you're standing out more on Google, and people are seeing you more, and they want to choose you because of how amazing you look. So from a business perspective, they're like the main things that you're going to get the benefit from.
Yeah, 100%. And on top of that as well, when we start looking at, let's say, the bigger picture, as well as getting all those wins and those results coming through on a daily basis, when we start thinking of the vision of the business and where it's going, and this actually happened to me, and I didn't even realize it were happening. When we start to systemize the business, frees up our time, and I'm sure everybody will have heard the expression that you've got to, really what we need to build a business like is a business that runs like clockwork without you in it. Because if we've got a business that's running like clockwork without you in it, or you may be working a day and a half a week, then what that's in actual fact doing is you're starting to build a saleable asset. And I didn't realize this all these years ago, but because I'd systemized and also I'd procedurized and made video tutorials on how we create quotes or how we raise invoices, and we had instruction manuals on how my business ran, every single step of it, I'd sort of like built almost like a franchisable model, but not realizing I'd done it. So when I got approached by a main contractor to buy me out, and they looked at the systems that we got in and the processes and all of the procedures, the instruction manuals, what we did then is we started negotiating on price because they realized, actually, we're buying a business here that's not going to take any of our time, that makes money and has got a great team behind it. And that's exactly what happened with you, weren't it? With your business, you start putting systems in place. So just share your little journey. That's my little journey and the benefits of systemizing. What about yours?
Yeah, I think this is something that's kind of massively overlooked from other business owners as well, right? So my journey was exactly that, where obviously there came a point where, because I'd freed myself up with so much of my time, I kind of just started helping my friends out with the systems. So I'm like, look, guys, this has made such a big difference to my life. You need it in your business. Like, I'll just put it in place for you and see how you go. And then next thing they're coming back to me saying, Jamie, that's amazing. It's like made such a big difference to my life. And I kind of got like the buzz I got from that was amazing. The rewards from it. So I then started this light bulb went off in my head where it's like, oh, I really want to help more people. So because I was able to, get that free time back, and I started helping other people, and obviously, I ended up getting to a point where it was like, I want to do this full time. And then that's when I thought, well, I probably could sell this business. Now, when it came to selling the business, and I started looking into that, one of the things that was standing out is, well, what are they buying? Because when it comes to selling a business, you might get lucky and just get someone that wants to buy your contact details. But really, from like an investor perspective, what they want to buy is an asset that doesn't take up loads of their time. Now, the person that I sold the business to, when when he's seen everything that was in place, and it was like, well, I can literally run with this, and I'm going to get my money back pretty quickly. I'm not going to have to learn everything. I'm not going to have to figure out all of it. It's all there. It's already done. Just carried on with where it was at, and has continued to make it a massive success. So I genuinely believe, because of what I put in place and what I could demonstrate, not only did it add value, but it made it a really attractive business to buy.
Yeah. And also, I'm sat here thinking about these other benefits of systemizing your business. Not only, and listen, everybody might be sat there going, Craig, Jamie, I don't want to sell my business. Listen, neither did I. I got approached. I got no intentions of selling. I just got approached and an offer that I couldn't refuse. But the point is here, by systemizing the business and freeing up your time and getting your business to run like clockwork, is exactly what we're going to need to scale. Because I speak to so many business owners that want to scale the business, and they're like, listen, I've got the leads coming in. I could probably get the labor. I want to scale. I'm like, no, hang on a minute. Your marketing might be working and you've got the work coming in and you might have got subbies lined up, but where's the systems? What do you mean? No, where's the systems that are running your entire business, from that lead coming in all the way through your business to that 5-star review being left at the end of the job, what systems and processes are you using? And they're like, we're not. And I'm like, well, the last thing you need to do now is step the gas up on taking more work on, because if you haven't got the systems, you've already told me you're working 80 hours a week now. If you start taking more work on without the systems, where on earth are you going to find the time to deal with all the extra jobs? How are you going to survey an extra 10 jobs a week? How are you going to price an extra 10 jobs a week? How are you going to organise and communicate with the customers for 10 jobs a week? How are you going to raise invoices for an extra 10 jobs a week when you ain't got time to do it now? So this is not just thinking about the short term. This is thinking about the long-term benefits and the vision of a business, because without the systems in place, it's near on impossible to scale it, because you've only got 168 hours in a week, haven't they?
Yeah, totally.
So with that, we talked about, some of the reasons why we need to be systemising and the pain points and the challenges and the obstacles that you're going to have if you don't systemise. Let's talk about which systems do people need to start with, and how do they start to systemise the business? You've just mentioned about flowing out your entire customer journey as a starting point. So is that where you would encourage people to start?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, if you're, to be fair, there's a point I want to make that you just mentioned as well, which kind of coincides with this, where most business owners, when you first go into business, the first thing you want to do is bring the work in. So you're focusing on your marketing first, aren't you? And I feel like business owners get stuck in that mindset where they're constantly working on the marketing to bring in the leads. So they get to a point where they want to ramp that up to scale. And like you say, exactly what you said. And that happened to me. It happens to loads of other people where they are just stuck in marketing mindset, but they end up tripping over themselves. The business cannot handle it. And it's literally it's the wrong way round, really. Like, you've got to make sure that the systems are in place. But obviously, when you first start, you've got to do your marketing. But from a customer's journey perspective, obviously you need to be out there and you need to bring these leads in to get the work. So of course you've got to make sure that part of your business is working right. So focusing on getting the sales and marketing system in place is a good place to start. But once you've got that working, then obviously you've got to switch to the job management side of the business, because what we've just made the point of, if you turn that tap on and start increasing it, which you can do quite easily, then your business is going to come to a grinding halt. You're going to have loads more problems, working longer hours, falling over yourselves, and leading to a poor customer experience, really. So then it's a case of focusing on, right, now we've got the jobs in, how do we get them from inquiry stage to quote out to everything else that goes on to get that job over the line to your review collected. So of course, that's your job management systems. But it doesn't, from my perspective, it doesn't really stop there, because after that, you want to make more sales to existing customers. You've got recurring revenue. You've got to increase the lifetime value of your customers. And again, that's where a decent sales and marketing system can then kick in. And once you've got that bit right, that's when you can start growing. You're not always fighting for new customers. You're getting the value from your existing customers as well. And that's when things really can start to scale.
Yeah. And I hear what you're saying on that, because it's not just about getting the leads in. Once the leads are coming in through whatever systems, that you're using to bring your leads in, it's then the complete and utter customer journey from that lead coming in, like we've just said, all the way through to that 5-star review and that video testimonial being left. And I often put this down to things like this, Jamie. I often say to people, right, let's map that customer journey out. From that lead coming in, what are all the different steps and stages and tasks that you've got to do in your business? From lead coming in all the way through, right up to that 5-star review. And many people say, there's probably about 10 things I need to do. But when we start mapping this out, I can tell you from coaching thousands of tradesmen and women through this process that the average number of steps in a trades business from lead coming in to 5-star review being left is on average 30. 30 different things that that business owner has to do for every single customer on that journey. And what I say to them is this: if you don't have systems, all that lot you're having to remember. Now, that's okay if you've only got one customer on the go at any one time, but nobody ever has a business where you've only got one customer on. So if we say, let's say you've got 10 customers on the go at any one time, and what I mean by that is you've got some leads that have just come in, right, that's coming into your system. They're part of your 10. You've got some leads what you've already quoted and you're waiting on them getting back to you. You've got some customers that have now got back to you and you want to go ahead and they're in that stage. You've got some jobs that are coming and drawing to an end. So you've got, or everybody's got, customers or potential customers in different stages of that customer journey. And that's what we break down to the before, during, and after customer journey. So when I say to people, right, you've got no systems and you've got 10 people on the go at any one time, but we've just established that you've got 30 things to do for every one of them customers to get them to become a paying customer. So if you've got 10 customers and there's 30 things to do, that's fucking 300 different things they've got to remember to do. How can you remember to do 300 things and run a business? All them plates at some point are going to start to drop. You let people down, the plates come crashing down around you, and that's what turns us into a busy fool. So with you just saying about that customer journey and mapping it out, yeah, it's incredibly important that they do that, but it's also important from my point of view to have consistency in your business. And that's exactly what systems are going to bring. So talk to us, Jamie, now about the reason why systems, yeah, are going to make you have a consistent 5-star customer service. No matter how busy you are or how slack you are, every one of them customers has got to experience 5-star service and be wowed by your systems.
Well, I guess, I mean, without kind of breaking down like loads of the individual features right now, I guess let's start from the beginning. Imagine if you had a system where a customer could land on your website, for example, find out they want to buy something from you. They can either fill in a form and maybe book in a survey there and then straight into your diary, or maybe just leave an inquiry for someone to pick it up later, right? That cuts out, how many steps does that cut out? Phone calls and everything else. They then get automated messages to say, yep, the job's going ahead and we're still coming tomorrow, on the run up to this job, or even just letting them know that you're on the way, for argument's sake. Again, what's that cutting out? Are you still coming, or the unknowns and all this kind of stuff? Then let's just imagine you had a system that you could press a few buttons and it could spit out a price for you there and then, on site. You're no longer having to go home to write your quotes out on Word or whatever it was you were doing. You're doing it on site, pressing a few buttons, and then let's say they didn't go ahead there and then. You drive away and the system then automatically starts chasing your quotes up to get them over the line, right? How much time have we just cut out of those steps? Yeah. Obviously, from going on from that, then there's, like you said, you got different people at different stages. Well, imagine if a system had different pipelines, so we'll call it a pipeline stage, where you can physically see where people are at any given time, so that you're never going to forget. It's all there in the system as a visual aid there to make sure that you don't miss it. And all you might have to do is just move them from one to another as they progress, which then triggers other automated messages and communication to them or your team to assign tasks and things like that. All the way through to the point where, the job's been completed. You don't have to remember to send invoices anymore because it's all in the system already. You press a couple of buttons, bang, there's your PDF document. Give me your card, ding it on your phone to take payment, and then the system will know behind the scenes that job's complete, review requests are going out, messages are sent to other systems to start, marketing to them in the future, and all kinds of different things. I mean, if I was to just kind of, there's obviously loads more that can be done, but to summarize that customer's journey, how many steps have we just eliminated completely from that? You could probably turn 30 steps down to maybe 5 human interaction steps potentially, which then that's when you can start scaling up. I mean, you're talking about 10 jobs at any given time. We had like 150 jobs at any given time. And that's the power of the system.
Yeah, yeah. And that, again, coming back to customer service, and, we'll touch on reviews shortly. But obviously, your customer service in today's day and age, where you've got all these keyboard warriors wanting to, attack tradesmen. I mean, we've literally, someone in our Grove Club put into our community a couple of weeks ago. I can't believe it. I've had a 1-star review left that's tarnished all these 5-star reviews. I've had a 1-star review left from a customer that I didn't even do a job for. And do you know what it were based on? Someone had left him a 1-star review because he thought that his price was too much, because he'd had 2 or 3 other quotes that were cheaper. And because our Grove Club member had gone in at a higher price, somebody's decided to take to Google and leave a 1-star review saying, I think that their price is too much. So when we've got all this inconsistency happening in his business, and what I mean by that is, when we are busy, and I'm hoping people that are watching or listening to this are going to accept this happens. When trades businesses are busy, customer service goes out at window. We don't get back to customers. So in other words, we've got an email inquiry coming. It's sat in your inbox for a week. And if you're busy, you don't even get back to them. Poor customer service. If you're busy, it's going to take a little longer to get to go and do a survey. If you're busy, it's going to take you 3 days, 5 days to get back to a customer with a quote. And in today's day and age, all this lot is unacceptable, because all of our customers, all of our clients are not comparing us to the other plumbing and heating engineer or electrician that's been out. They're not comparing your business to other businesses that do what you do. They're comparing you to the likes of Amazon and Argos, where you can get same-day delivery, right, of a package. But why does it take a trades business 2 or 3 days to get back to a customer with a price in today's day and age, when we can, like you've just said, you can pull your phone out and do it all on your phone there and then? So the consistency, as we start to scale, everybody's got, every customer, whether you're busy or not, has got to get that absolute 5-star service. And that's exactly what these types of tools and systems will do. So with that, Jamie, I know there's many, many systems out there, because I've used loads of them myself, and I know you've trialed and used loads of them. But let's start off with the marketing side of the customer journey. If we're saying the first bit of interaction with the potential customer is the content that they're seeing and the lead coming in, whether it's through a form or a vetting form, the lead comes into the business. We need a system that's going to be able to deal with all them leads coming in and then speed the process up of the lead being turned into a sale. So what software would you recommend that will do that?
Yeah, so I've used a number of different sales and marketing systems, right? But the one that's the most kind of comprehensive, shall we say, that the all-in-one package where you're not having to subscribe to loads of different systems, it's all in there, is Leadzilla. All right, so that's the sales and marketing.
Just on that, Jamie, then, before we move on, with Leadzilla then, give us some examples of the features that are inside Leadzilla that would be relevant to every single trades business from a marketing perspective and a sales perspective to speed all this lot up. What features do you believe they can use with inside Leadzilla?
So, I mean, if you're to break it down from the very beginning again, that's probably the easiest thing to do. So within Leadzilla, you can build landing pages, And then within the landing pages, they can have, vetting forms and things like that as well. All right. So you can filter your customers down. Once they've filled in that form, they can land into a pipeline that I mentioned earlier, where you can visually see where they're at. Once they're within a pipeline, that can trigger, automated workflows, which might be a new word to a listener right now, thinking, what the hell is one of them? But essentially what that is a timeline of actions that will automatically happen, from sending emails, text messages, internal notifications to the team, plus loads more. I mean, like, you can incorporate AI into this and everything else. All right. So you got the workflows as well. But to separate this from everywhere else, Leadzilla has, to take this to a higher level, has voice AI built into it. Okay. It has chat AI as well. So you can have a chat box on your website, for example, where they communicate with a bot that's been trained to answer the most frequently asked questions that you'd always get the phone calls about. And there's, within it as well, there's a social media section where you can basically schedule all of your social media posts, or automatically, post your recent Google reviews, and loads more. I mean, one of the other things as well that I love about Leadzilla is, as a plumbing and heating engineer by trade, a big thing for us was, selling service and care plans. So within Leadzilla, you can manage your subscriptions and the automations and the selling of those plans as well, which, if you look at, the other systems, they're not doing all of those things. All right. So just to have it all in one place is a total game changer.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So that's Leadzilla, and that'll take care of all the marketing and all the sales. But then when the jobs come in, and let's say it's won, we then need some kind of job management software to manage the jobs themselves. So what job management software would you recommend? And also, what does this job management software do that's going to help speed this entire process up?
Again, I've used loads of different softwares over the years and outgrew them because they couldn't do what I needed it to do. So to save you a load of time, the job management software that you need in your business is called ServiceMate. All right. Now, the main reasons why I love ServiceMate so much is, number one, it basically has like a job card for each job. So that means that everything is consolidated into one place. So things like, customer communication, job notes, job photos, videos, forms, like all kinds of different things, basically is all within one place. So you're not having to look everywhere, WhatsApp chats, inboxes, and everything else. Just makes your life so much easier to keep on top of things. It also has an automation built into it as well. So the things like, booking confirmations, you basically book a job in, they get a confirmation that's booked in. They'll get reminded that job's still happening. They're told that you're on the way. They can even see you on a map to track where you're going. It's just separates it from everyone else as well. Review requests and things like that, all part of that as well. And then we've also established that you need this kind of stage management, don't you, within the business as well. So things like, let's say somebody needs to order materials, you can drop a job into the stage management area, and that person will then know that they need to order materials. There are loads of other things like a built-in email inbox and like asset management. If you need to track assets, like, if you're F-gas and all that kind of stuff, you need to track these things. So you can do that within ServiceMate as well. I'm just listing a few features here. There's so much more to it, but I don't think we've got loads of time on our hands to list everything out, have we? But honestly, when it comes to just relieving all of the stress within the business and make sure everyone knows what they're doing, ServiceMate, from a job management perspective, is the system you need to go check out. I'll just add as well, from a cost perspective, in comparison to all of the other systems I've ever worked with, it's way cheaper because it doesn't charge you per user. It charges you on job kind of volume. So it's dirt cheap for what you get. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So staying with these systems then, Jamie, there's another system that I feel that every business owner needs, and most business owners will have already got this. And when I'm coaching my Inner Circle Growth Club, there's three main systems that we have, right? One of them is an accountancy system to manage all your numbers, your invoices, your tax, your overheads, everything else. So QuickBooks or Xero are great pieces of software. We then said that we need a marketing and sales piece of software, such as Leadzilla, to deal with all the marketing. And then we need a job management piece of software, such as ServiceMate, that will do all the job management, organising your labour, your materials, your customers, and all that. And if we can connect those three pieces of software together, you've then got the absolute ultimate system in your trades and construction business. So does the likes of Xero and QuickBooks integrate, whether that's a seamless integration or using things like Zapier? Does that accountancy software integrate into both pieces of software that you've just mentioned, Leadzilla and ServiceMate?
Yeah, and one of the things that I didn't mention that is worth mentioning is that Leadzilla, ServiceMate, and obviously Xero and QuickBooks, they're all integratable with each other, but also way more as well. I didn't want to get too in depth with this, just in case people are new to technology, but there are things that can be done where these systems can all communicate with one another. So Xero and QuickBooks integrate very easily with ServiceMate. Just log in through ServiceMate and that's it. When you press a button, your invoices go over to Xero and QuickBooks, and your materials and your contacts and all that kind of stuff. From a Leadzilla perspective, if you complete a job, for example, you might want to do an action over in Leadzilla, and ServiceMate and Leadzilla are open for that as well. And that's one of the reasons, comparing to other systems, where it kind of stands out, because a lot of the other systems are closed off from that kind of level of connection. So once you know what you can do with this and you imagine it, you've got a good imagination, the opportunities are endless with what you can do. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, we talk about Leadzilla and ServiceMate inside our growth club that you're part of. And every day inside our community, there are members, posting about the results that they're now getting from ServiceMate and Leadzilla. But we also get a few questions crop up that is like, well, hang on a minute. Is there not a crossover between what Leadzilla does and what ServiceMate does? And there is a slight crossover in what they do. So do you just want to share what that crossover is? But also, on top of that is, why do they complement each other, these two systems, when they're connected together? So do you just want to share that with us, Jamie?
Yeah, I guess a good way of kind of looking at this is, doing work in someone's house. All right, you've got a trained heating engineer that can fit boilers. You're going to employ me to fit that boiler, aren't you? You got a tiler who can fit, who can install tiles. Great. You're not going to ask me to go and install tiles because that's not where I specialize. So the thing with ServiceMate is that they've specifically said we're a job management tool. So that their whole focus is on, making the process of a job, from the admin and the just management of the team and stuff like that, as good as possible. Whereas Leadzilla is a specific sales and marketing system. And okay, I mean, somebody's asked me recently, well, can't Leadzilla just do what ServiceMate does? And it's like, it can kind of. But when you actually look at the depths of what's within ServiceMate from a trades job management perspective, it's miles away. So they're intentionally designed to serve what it is they're supposed to do. So yeah, you wouldn't get a tiler to fit a boiler. Just like systems, stick with something that's dedicated to job management, stick with something that's dedicated to sales and marketing systems, because you can connect them together. Then yeah, you're going to have the ultimate, like you said, the ultimate system.
Yeah. And you know what, over years, I mean, it'd be amazing if Leadzilla and ServiceMate had a baby, right? And it were the old and one system to do it all, right? It'd be amazing. But in reality, that's never going to happen. However, over the years, going back to what I was saying earlier about, 12 years ago, over a decade ago, well over a decade ago, we were using systems in our in our joinery and construction business. And we ended up having to use about 7 or 8 different systems and trying to get it all custom coded to work together. And that's all we had back then. We made it work. And obviously it led me to a point where I sold my business, so it worked. But again, going back to how I started this episode off about it being a crime for people in today's day and age to not have this in place, I feel as though I've done all the hard work over years. I've used all these different systems. You've tried and trialed all these out. Other people have. And for me, what I'm saying is if you had, let's say, QuickBooks, Leadzilla, and ServiceMate in your business that now seamlessly connect to each other, it's not complicated to connect them. You have got the ultimate systems running your business. There's no need to go and try all these other pieces of software because we've done it. And as much as some other pieces of software are great, they've not got the capabilities and they've not got the integration aspect as what these 3 pieces of software are right now. So, Jamie, with this then, if someone's listening to this right now and they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and they don't know where to start, what is the first step that they need to take now to start to take one step closer to systemising the business?
Yeah, I think I kind of mentioned it a bit earlier on about just mapping out that customer journey. Like, that is such an insightful thing to do. So, most people don't have it written down. It's all in their head and they're just making it up as they go along. And usually the person that makes the most noise is where they'll jump to. But the one of the biggest things for me was when I flowed it out and literally I'll be honest, I did it on an iPad. I've got a pen and, on the whiteboard, I just said, right, this is where it starts, move to the next thing. And this is where it starts. And then when that happens, go there. And I just flowed it out. And okay, it was version 1 and there was always room for improvement on it. But just because that was written down, it then gave me the knowledge and the insight to then build on it from there. So if you haven't done that yet, then 100% you need to do that first. And I guess from that, you're going to see how many things you've got to do. All right. So yeah, I think that's the first thing that I would work on.
Yeah. And just to sort of like take what you've just said, Jamie, and break it down to make it even easier. And this is what I teach is I want everybody listening and watching this to imagine their entire customer journey. And what we do is we break it down into 3 stages, don't we? So stage number 1 is what I call the before stage. In other words, you've got to look at, right, what happens before I actually get the nod on a job. So what happens? Example. Well, first of all, lead comes in. Number 2, we've got to vet the lead. Number 3, we've got to speak to the potential customer. Number 4, we've got to book them in for a survey. Number 5, we've got to go and do the survey. Number 6, we've got to come back and price the job. Number 7, we've got to put a quote, estimate or proposal together. Number 8, we've got to send that proposal off, email. Number 9, we've got to make a follow-up call. So straight away, I mean, that's just me rattling this off at the top of my head. But straight away, there's 9 flipping steps that needs to be done. I would suspect for every trades business has to follow a similar path to that. So there's 9 things that you've got to do straight away there. Right, map them out, wherever they are in their business, that's your before. Then there's the during. And in the during stage, this is right. The customer is now giving you the go-ahead on the job. What happens next? So from that point, what might you need to do? Well, as a loft conversion building company, what we had to do next is send out a deposit invoice, send out our terms and conditions, make sure the T's and C's and deposit are being paid, instruct an architect, apply for planning permission, apply for building regs, organise labour, order materials, order skips, order scaffold, right? There's 10 things there. So that's the during. So I want people to think, right, well, what do I do during that period of the job ongoing? And then the final part to this is what we call the after stage, which is When you finish that job, let's take you, Jamie, as an example. When you finish fitting that boiler and you put all your tools in back at van and you drove off, that's not the end of the relationship. Because at the end of every job, there's certain tasks that need to be done. For example, your referral strategy needs to be educated to your customer, and that needs to kick in. You've got to get a 5-star review off that customer. You've got to get a video testimonial off that customer. You might have to order a thank you card and a bottle of champagne or some flowers to send to that customer. There's the final invoice that needs raising, the bank reconciliation. At the end of the job, you've got to be checking your profit and loss and your margins. That's another 10 things there. So we can start to see very clearly there that there's easily 30 things that people do in the business. So for anybody listening and watching this, Jamie's bang on, flow it out, but I would break it down into those 3 areas so you can see what happens in each area.
Yeah. And I'd like to add something to that as well, if you don't mind. So
Yeah.
there's, for me, that like I said, was version 1, but there's a lot of things there you mentioned, Craig, that people that won't have in their business right now because they haven't got time to do it. So once you've done version 1, the next thing for me was what would it look like if it was to be the best business that I can imagine? And that's when you would include other steps to that during and before, during, and after stage as well. So the quote follow-ups. I'm a consumer right now trying to get a driveway booked in, and what a nightmare it's been. Somebody said they're coming. I haven't heard back from them or anything like that. So yeah, there's loads of things you might not be doing, which you might want to do if you had loads more time. So I would also think about flowing that out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I'm exactly the same at the minute. I'm trying to find a flipping landscaper. No, seriously. I'm trying to find a landscape. In fact, oh no, I can't do that. It's unprofessional. I'm not going to do it. I'm trying to find a landscaper, right? I'm ringing them up. They don't answer the phone, right? I've had people say to me, I'm going to come at 3:00 on Thursday, never turn up. I've had 2 guys come, actually turn up late, walk round, not even tell me when I'm going to get my quote. Never heard back from them. I'm tearing my hair out. All I want is a fripping landscape guard there to come and do some maintenance. Can't get them. The service is shocking.
And imagine then, if this is like, the way that I've seen this is your competitors that you're competing with. Imagine if you're the business that they didn't even have to speak to. They went on your website, they filled in a form, booked in, got all the automations and everything else. You turn up, you might be more expensive. If somebody turned up to my door tomorrow, more expensive than everyone else, but they're ready to, I'm ready to book in. Just get me done. I haven't got time to mess around. If you're that business that can do that, trust me, you're gonna sell more, you're gonna grow your business, you're gonna have an easy life. And it all just comes down to having these systems in place. Yeah. Don't be like them other guys. You don't need to be anymore.
No. Okay, Jamie, so we've talked about Leadzilla and ServiceMate. If people wanted to get started with Leadzilla and ServiceMate, what do they need to do? And are there any free trials or anything like that that people can get involved with?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's free trials. All right, so we'll just start with Leadzilla first. I'm sure there'll be a link below us for you to get to where you need to get to for that. So with Leadzilla, you can have a 14-day free trial. You'll have access to all of the features from a get-go. There's training within Leadzilla as well to be able to walk you through, some of the processes on how to make use of it and some quick wins as well. So, take advantage of that. So yeah, and then after that, then obviously there'll be a subscription and things like that, but you can explore that later. There is no contract, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's Leadzilla. From a ServiceMate perspective, you can go to ServiceMate and get a 14-day free trial. But what I would suggest is actually, instead of going to ServiceMate directly, FlowState, we're classed as a ServiceMate Gold partner as well. So with that, if we create your free trial account, then you'll get an additional 14 days on your trial, and you'll also get a 30% discount for your first 6 months as well. And to top it off, you'll also be eligible for a £1,000 rebate if you were to invest in, maybe some additional support and training as well, which not many people know about. So that's a bit of a no-brainer for me. And like I said, with ServiceMate as well, there is no contract either. So it's one of those things where you can kind of test it out for a while before you see how you get on with it. You're not obliged like some other systems that I know of where you're in for 12 months. It's quite an easy thing to just try out and see how it goes. So yeah, to just get on it and have a go at it. And I'd say one of the key things to bear in mind is, I know you're probably really busy right now. The mindset you got to have with this is that you might need to take a little bit of time out in the beginning to try it out and test it out and get familiar with it. And that, I don't know, that might take you a couple of weeks to get up to speed with things, right? But the payback over the next 10 to 15 years, you'll get your time back within the first month. But imagine like your return on your investment for time over the next X amount of years when the systems are working for you. So when it comes, I would say, put some time in your diary to make sure that you've got the time allocated to get on with the system, and don't just think you're going to be able to continue as you are, but it will be worth that time. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're watching or listening to this, click the links in and around the description and show notes of this episode and go and set your free trials up. Jamie, just on that as well, I think it's important to raise that you've done something like 30 training videos to get people set up on Leadzilla so they can get it all set up themselves. And then you got something like 80 training videos on ServiceMate as well that people get access to.
Yeah, I think I've had a full-time job in recording videos for training for quite a while now. But yeah, the support and everything, like obviously I want for you to be able to understand exactly how to use these systems, and then as your business, like when you get this free time and you're then able to focus on the growth of your business and implementing all this stuff, for you to be able to then continue building onto it as your business evolves. That's what I'm here for, So yeah, there's plenty of help and support in pre-recorded training videos, but also like live training sessions are available to you as well. Where we can have like live Q&A kind of sessions to make sure that you get your questions answered. So yeah, I'm here, as Flow State are here to help you get up to speed with everything that you need to. So you're not on your own. That's the important thing to bear in mind.
Yeah. And Jamie, if people want to contact you for some help and support or whatever they need, I know you're open to helping and supporting people. So what's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, so for me, like you're probably going to have loads of questions, aren't you? All right, and we've got loads of frequently asked questions that you can go and check out. But if you want to just have a quick 15-minute call with me, just to maybe get you answer those questions and get you over the line onto getting you using these systems, then there is a link below me. I think it probably is, or it could be anywhere. Depends where this is, but there is a link for you to be able to book in a 15-minute call. So go ahead and do that, book in a call, and we'll have a chat and we'll get those questions answered.
Amazing. Okay. Well, Jamie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all that valuable knowledge with us. I'm sure there'll be people that listen to this episode and think, do you know what? I know I need to do this. I now know where I need to start and the software that I can start to use. So thank you ever so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And I'll catch up with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed being here. Hopefully we can do it again sometime soon.
Well, if you were sat on the fence and wondering whether it were worth your time and effort to systemise your business, hopefully from what's been uncovered in this episode, you'll understand that the only way you're going to get your time back, make more profit and scale your business is by implementing the systems that we've shared. In the description of this episode, I'll leave a link to the free trials for Leadzilla and ServiceMate. And if you want to go and check them out, click the links and check it out. Final thing is this. When you're prepared to do what other people aren't prepared to do, then you will see results. So I'll catch up with you on next week's episode and I'll meet you at the top. Thank you.